I have not felt the need to do this little thought experiment in about 6 or 7 years. The last time I did it, it was on the main channel during the 2017 playoffs. Of course, this is a time when we knew from the start of the season it was going to be Golden State and Cleveland in the finals. Particularly though, it was looking at the Eastern Conference and just, quite frankly, how shit it was. And that's kind of why the topic is on my mind today, because if you look at the standings, I'm doing this on April 3rd, 2024. A very inconvenient time to do this video with the records, but Boston is 59-16 and 12 games above their closest competitor, who is Milwaukee, currently with 47 wins and 12 games behind. On playback last night, we did some digging. This is the biggest game differential between 1 and 2 in quite some time. I can't even remember what we found. It has been a long time though. With this, the rumblings are starting that the East is weak. Of course, we lived through a time when the East was actually weak, when the alternative to LeBron's Cavs was like John Wall and Beal, or the fucking Raptors with Kyle Lowry and DeRozan. Anyways, I will concede the records definitely are very far behind. Boston, in my opinion, has no excuse not to get out of the East. And yeah, I thought this would be fun because although there is exactly zero chance conferences get eliminated in the near future, we already went through this in the late 2010s. It was really bad, then it balanced out a little bit. I don't see it ever changing. It is still fun to imagine what if there were a 1 through 16 seeding. Well, this particular season, it gets a little murky because you got hella teams between both conferences that are tied. Specifically, when you get to the 10 to 13 mark, you've got Orlando, New York, Sacramento, and Phoenix at the time of this recording, all with a .587 win-loss record, or win percentage. I organized it on Basketball Reference to see how they would do it. I don't think the overall standings were taking into account tiebreakers. With this being said, I have no clue how they would handle it between the East and the West. Some of these guys split records, then another pair of these teams have something different. It gets very screwy how you would organize those four. I just went ahead and had it how they had it in the conference bracket, Magic leading the Knicks, Kings leading the Suns. To be honest, in this video, in this complete hypothetical, it doesn't really change the end outcome. It's all for shits and gigs. So on your screen, you should be seeing the 1 through 16 palette, how it would be organized. Miami, once again, ending up at the end of the conference, or at the end of the bracket, meaning they get a first round with the Celtics, then so on and so forth. I had to go through my old video to see how to actually organize the brackets themselves. And here's what we've got. Celtics Heat rematch, Mavs Pelicans, Thunder Suns, Clippers Kings, Wolves Pacers, Bucks Knicks, Cavs Magic, Nuggets Lakers. So automatically, if you're just looking in the context of the Celtics, it steepens their path to the finals. You go from this year where you will potentially be playing, well, as a matter of fact, you still might potentially just play Miami in the first round the way it goes. After that though, in the second, it's somewhere between Magic, Knicks, Cavs. Third round, presumably you get Milwaukee, who knows. In 2024, a pathway of Heat. Let's just go Knicks and then Bucks. I don't think it's as challenging as what a 1 through 16 gives them. So they will start the playoffs against Miami. God willing, I'm going to assume this time they actually beat them. Miami's doing the thing again. They would have to turn it all the way around to make another run. They did it last year. I don't even feel that confidence inside the Miami fan base this year. And if the Celtics for some reason lost the first round against the Heat in the big 2024, there would be an implosion. So with Boston advancing here, they play the winner of Mavs Pelicans. We're doing this one kind of quickly. Brandon Ingram is going to be coming back from an injury soon, right before the playoffs. Other than that, finally, generally healthy. Meanwhile, the Mavs after the trade deadline have hit very much a hot streak. Without too much analysis in Mavs Pelicans, for time's sake, I'll go Dallas. Think it'll be a competitive series. Let's just go ahead and have them advance here, which sets you up with a Celtics Mavs second round, which this is what I love about these brackets. You could only get it in the NBA Finals, obviously. Below them, Thunder Suns is also very much a possibility in the real world here. It's materialized, and yeah, I am going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I feel they're a bit more complete this year. I do think, especially if we get it in the real world, it would be a lot of fun with KD versus OKC. His old squad having completely regrown up and become a contender again. I also believe this is an annoying matchup for OKC. Really, regardless, as long as they stay in that 1-2 range, they are probably going to get an annoying first round matchup. Still, I'm trusting in what SGA and Jalen Williams have going on. Once again, without too much analysis, I am picking OKC to advance and play the winner of the Clippers and Kings. Now, the Clips post All-Star break have had a rough go of it. They look much closer to what everyone kind of expected when the trade was made. Meanwhile, Sacramento is dealing with hella injuries. It's not appearing they're gonna have Monk or Kevin Huerter in this year's playoff run, which in my mind automatically X's out any type of real run. Should still be fun. In this first round, I would go Clippers. I'm gonna trust them enough with the handicap to get it done. Setting up a second round of OKC and the Clippers. We get to see Paul George literally play what he was traded for in a series. I'm hoping this somehow materializes in real life, which it actually can. As we're moving down the bracket, you see a Wolves-Pacers match. I am definitely going Wolves. Pacers have lost Benedict Mathurin for the year. Also, Halliburton has been dealing with a hamstring and playing through it. It's gotten better. Still, I think even just in the real world, the Wolves are in a slightly higher tier than Indiana. Really not slightly this season. They are in a higher tier than Indy. I'm going Minnesota there. Would be fun to see draft classmates Anthony Edwards and Reese playing against each other. Meanwhile, once again, a matchup that is probably getting kind of hard to happen in real life. You're looking at Milwaukee and New York. New York is going to come in as long as they're healthy, a defensive juggernaut. Milwaukee, although struggling record-wise, is not doing as terrible on defense as people would imagine. I'm going to continue to choose and believe Milwaukee will be able to get a series like this done. Let me be on record saying I think the Knicks are going to give whichever contenders they play hell in a playoff series. They play the Celtics. That is, I think they match them well. I don't see it for them this year. The series will be highly annoying. Working down the Cavs, Magic, going Cleveland here. Magic are a defensive-minded team. I think they've got a ways to go on offense. I personally believe they will be doing better in the playoffs than people imagine. I asked a question about them just to take the temperature. Seemed like Twitter is just kind of writing them off. For our hypothetical world, no, they will not be eliminating Cleveland. And it doesn't matter anyways, because the winner of this series is going to be playing the Nuggets, who will once again beat the Los Angeles Lakers. Don't need to explain much there, at least in my opinion. So your second rounds on this side of the bracket become Minnesota and Milwaukee, Cavs and Nuggets. Both obscure NBA Finals matchup possibilities. Just if a couple of things went wrong on both sides of the bracket, I mean, I don't think these two series are far off. Anyways, taking it back to the top, Celtics Mavs. I'm gonna go Celtics here. Just imagine how fun it would be to see Luka and Kyrie taking on Boston in a non-final setting, rather than it being, who knows, Celtics Knicks, Celtics Magic, Celtics Cavs, whatever. I just named some fun series. I just think this would be even more fun. Same result, give me Boston. Oh, and then in the Thunder and Clippers, yes, this is where I will choose to no longer trust LA. I'm going OKC. The story around this series would be a lot of fun. I even think the basketball would be fun. I hate to make it so simple. Just even listening to some of the things the Clippers are saying and watching them down the stretch, it very much feels like another Clipper implosion. They don't even have a grip on where Paul George is going to be afterward. Yeah, just a lot going on. I've actually got to start waiting to make that one video I make where I talk about teams that can win a championship. I normally make it right as All-Star break is hitting. I need to start waiting later. Teams go through hell in that month in between I make that video and now. But yeah, knowing the Clippers' luck, knowing how the execution can be down the stretch, I would take Oklahoma City. It would set up a round 3 of Boston and OKC, which is also another presumptive finals matchup if something went wrong with Denver in the West. Working down the line, yield to Wolves and Bucks. Oof. I would go Minnesota here. I like their defense. I like how they match up defensively. If you're not going to have Dame playing out of his mind and you've schematically got some ways to make life tough in a playoff setting for Giannis, you check off some boxes. So for the purposes of this hypothetical, if Wolves and Bucks met, give me Minnesota. And for Cavs, Nuggets are dashing right through that. So you end up looking at a round 3 of Wolves, Denver, Thunder, Celtics. Regardless of what you believe happens here, you now have Boston deal with on a potential road to the finals. It's last year's conference champion in Miami, a much improved Mavericks team, and then Oklahoma City, who they believe can be in the finals. Them not getting there this year probably has more to do with just, going against Jokic and Denver rather than their ability. Either way, very fun series. I believe Boston would win it, just as I hold this belief if they really do meet in the NBA Finals, at least as of right now. And a Wolves-Denver rematch, which once again could very much happen in real life with the real bracket. I think people have wanted to see this again because of how Minnesota performed in the first round last year, just in the games, even though they didn't necessarily come close to eliminating the Nuggets. Just as a reminder, they did this when they weren't healthy. They're better and healthy this year, presumably. We'll see when Cat comes back. I still believe Denver's gonna get it done. Minnesota is in that we're coming mode though. Yeah, I don't think anybody really in the West can beat Denver in the regular bracket, and it's still hard to believe anybody can at all. I have not figured out the actual formula for this yet. So in a 1-16 bracket, this is why I didn't really think too hard about the whole skirmish between who would be where in some of the standings, because I still believe it would turn out how I believe it's going to turn out in the real playoff world. It's going to be Celtics and Nuggets. Who wins that series? Probably Denver, just knowing execution and such, end of game execution, etc. They've been there. We know they don't fold in situations where they aren't supposed to. I will leave this series to y'all, with also just saying a Nuggets repeat is very much on the table. Records be damned. It does appear Boston will be the only 60-win team in the league this year. I have seen 60-win teams fall before. I actually just did a video about it on my main channel, or it was included anyways. So yeah, quick thought experiment of what 1-16 would look like. Harder path for Boston. Denver doesn't really get anything they can't handle. It's actually very similar for what they're about to experience. I don't know though. I think it would be fun, and I will say here, 6-7 years later, it's fun being on the other side of your conference's weak argument. I was heavy on that in the late 2010s, and now it's my team dealing with the allegations. I would just leave it saying the East is not as bad as it was. Late 2010s, mid 2010s, it ain't that damn bad. I do feel Boston is head and shoulders above everyone there, so there's that. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Do you still support conferences being eliminated, although there isn't as much reason for it these days? And afterward, be sure to hit the like button and sub if you enjoyed, while hitting the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.